right, so we all agree that communication is important, correct? All right, cool. So let's talk about communication. This is a story from earlier in my career in hotels that I use a lot because it always reminds me about what communication is all about. So I was made the director of housekeeping at a hotel that I was working at, and I had no idea what the heck I was doing. Now, understand that when you become a director of housekeeping, often it comes from years of experience and working your way up in this vein, because it really requires a lot of technical skills, a lot of insider knowledge, and really, quite honestly, a lot of really hard work. You see, before then, I was the guy in the front of the house, walking around like I knew it all, in the suit and tie, looking good. You see those guys when you walk into a hotel, yes? And again, you think, wow, they're either the most pompous things you've ever seen, or those are the people that you want to know. Well, I was that person. Then all of a sudden, my life changed. And again, I was devastated. Thrown into the back of the house, where all of a sudden, ties were optional. You had to get down on your hands and knees and basically clean up after everybody. You know what it's like when you stay at the hotel. You throw it everywhere. It's kind of like my one-year-old, when they finish food, it just kind of gets flung everywhere. That's what it's like for most people when they go into a hotel room. And I was in charge of them. Side story though, communication. About 2 days into the role, my general manager called down and he says, we've got this big VIP coming in. It's about time we spun the carpet in the front of the house. And I'm like, spin the carpet? That sounds easy. And honestly, I didn't really know what I was doing, but I had heard the word spin and I'm like, I can do that. So I sort of run up to the front of the house and I sort of get with my team. We pull off this big marble table, you know, strong, and we flip the carpet, spin it 180 degrees. I think that's what you do when you spin the carpet. Put everything back down and I headed back downstairs. Now, about an hour later, the general manager called down and he says, hey, I was just in the front of the house. I thought I told you to spin the carpet. And I said, I did it about half an hour ago. He says, I was just up there. You didn't do it. And I said, no, I absolutely did. And I was getting quite ticked off. Probably not as ticked off as the general manager because he basically says, get up there and spin the carpet. And I said, I did. I went up there with the houseman, took the table, I spun it 180 degrees, put it back down, and I did it. And he started laughing at me. He says, no, you idiot. Do you know nothing about housekeeping? I said, yeah, I know nothing about housekeeping. You see, in a housekeeping world, when you're told to spin the carpet, that means spin bonnet a carpet. It's this machine that you use to bring the pile up. And here's me being told to spin the carpet. I thought it meant turning 180 degrees, when in fact I was meant to get this really complicated machine and make it look pretty. Now I often think about that story because it's like, who was at fault? Who was at fault for the communication? Was it the general managers? I can see some of you kind of nodding your heads. Was it me? Some of you nodding your heads. Or was it both of us? And I see the majority of you agreeing that it was both of our problem. And I probably agree with you, but I want to remember this one thing. If you're a good manager, if you're going to be a good leader, you take responsibility for communication. You take responsibility for ensuring your people understand the message. You see, in that situation, that was the general manager's responsibility to ensure that I understood. So don't just take communication for granted. Don't think it's about standing up on your high horse and sprouting all these messages all over the place and believing that everybody's just going to run around and follow it. Because that's, of course, what happens as soon as we get our title, as soon as we get that big manager's title on our sort of name badge. Remember, just because you get a title, it doesn't mean you suddenly become the world's greatest communicator. We've got to work at it, and most importantly, we've got to make sure that those around us understand it.